So hello! On this channel we talk about independent spirituality and folk magic for free spirits. My name is Aster, and in today's video I decided to try something a little bit different. You know what? I decided to come and start a little something. So, a long time ago when I started trying to deal with spirits, started like dipping my toes into spirit work, and I had no practice at all. I had one experience that was kind of a little bit scary, and I didn't really know how to deal with it. So I'm gonna tell you what happened, what was the outcome. We are going to kind of analyze the situation, but the point of this is I want to start a whole thing here, and I need you to be on board with me. Are you with me? So let's go. I want to call this Spooky Tales, in which we are going to see and analyze paranormal experiences that other people had. And for that to happen, for that to become real, I will need you to send me your spooky tales, something that you have lived, something that you have experienced when it comes to spirit contact, spirit work, something that happened to you, and how did you deal with it? Was the problem solved? What was the final result of all of that? If you have a story to share, please do on my email that is going to appear on the screen right now, asterperpetua@gmail.com. I am going to read your stories without disclosing your name. Don't worry, you are going to be anonymous. So we are going to analyze what you have experienced with spirits and whatnot. We are going to try to find a solution for it. Yeah, I think it can be a lot of fun. I think it can be a very interesting way of analyzing and looking at the experiences of multiple people without exposing anyone, so you don't get called out by other people because, oh, you've made a mistake. No, that's not the point. The point is just sharing experiences and trying to find the ideal outcome, the ideal solution for a given issue, if that makes sense. So to get this thing started, I am going to share my story from when I began spirit work. I actually lived kind of a haunting situation when I was living in Paris during my au pair time. So back in Paris, Paris 8e, très chic, très cher. So I used to live at the 8th, how can I call it in English? The 8th neighborhood, I don't know, the 8th arrondissement in Paris, which is near the Arc de Triomphe, for example. It is a very expensive place, and I was just an au pair, I was just an au pair who got to live there for 1.5 years rent-free. That part was really good. So, I started trying to do spirit work when I was in my studio. So as an au pair, I had a studio at the top floor of the building. It was very tiny, but anyway, that's not really the point. The point was that I was basically alone at the top floor of the building. I had a neighbor, but he was almost never there, so the entire floor was almost for myself. I spent a lot of time alone there. There were other apartments, but they were all empty. I think they were kind of not renovated, so the owners wouldn't even try to rent them or anything. It was just closed doors, and there was me and my neighbor on the other apartment, but the guy was never there. So I started doing a little bit of spirit work. I started lighting my candles, doing my thing, casting spells. I became very spiritualized. I became very spiritual. This started to gain strength in my life when I was an au pair, in a way that it had never been before. So while I was in my little studio, in my free time, I would try to cast spells, I would try some ancestor work here and there, and you know, something important. No, I think I'm gonna leave the little mistakes that I've made for like after telling what happened. So what happened? During my time living in that little studio, every now and then I would feel a presence. Even before I started practicing in my flat, I would feel a presence walking outside in the corridors, walking past my door. And I mean, at the time, at the beginning, I was very scared of spirits because that's what we learn, right? To be scared of spirits. So I felt kind of uncomfortable with feeling that presence coming and going right in front of my door and through the corridors outside, but it never did anything. It was like this thing was just passing by and not really noticing me. But then witchcraft came along. I started practicing very frequently, and I think that's when that apparition, I don't know, that spirit, let's call it spirit, noticed me. And of course I had protections within my space. I had protection sachets on top of my bed, on top of the door. I had some other things spread around the flat, so the spirit was never able to get in, but its presence was very strong from the outside. Like the corridors outside, they passed by my bed. So here's the wall, there was a corridor here, and on the other side of the wall there was my bed. So this thing would come right beside my bed on the other side of the wall and just like kind of be on top of me. I couldn't sleep because of that thing watching over me in the creepiest way possible. I think that thing was a watcher or something. It feels very uncomfortable. It feels awful. Like this thing is just watching you, like staring at you in a very disturbing way. It was very unsettling, and I was losing sleep over that because the thing was there and I had to do something. So I tried multiple things. I tried smoking the corridors with juniper. I would do that asking like with a bell, with a little bell and juniper, ringing the bell, asking uninvited spirits to go away, to, you know, go mind their business somewhere else. I also used sigils and a lot of salt at the doors. I put salt at every corner of the corridors and also in front of the doors for the apartments that were closed. There was nobody living there, so nothing would be able to go across those spaces. I used sigils on doors. I would draw them with white chalk so they were not super apparent on the doors, because the doors were white but the sigil was still there. And every time I did this smudging thing, this presence would go away for like a week or so, and then it would come back. I also tried the banishing of the pentagram, lesser banishing, something like that you draw the pentagram with your hands. I did that. I got the book Protection and Her... Wait, I'm gonna get it. When I realized that nothing that I was doing was actually getting rid of that presence for good, and it would always come back after a while, I got this book, Protection and Reversal Magic by Jason Miller. Because I started getting very worried because that presence was there. I was not able to sleep anymore. And sometimes I felt that it waited for me outside. Do you understand? It waited for me outside, okay? During the day even. I could feel it. I could feel that presence right there, like just staring at me. It was so uncomfortable, so unsettling. So I remember I would just storm out my flat, lock it real quick, and run for my life down the stairs, like. And then I could feel it following me, but then eventually it would lose me in the stairs. It was really something very crazy and unsettling. So as I was seeing that I wasn't really able to deal with the situation, I asked for help. And after reading this book, I got many ideas. Ultimately, what actually did the trick, like this book was very useful for me to understand, especially when it talks exactly about protecting against spirits and other entities. I understood a little bit more about hauntings, why they happen, how they happen, and I came to the conclusion that maybe it was the spirit of that spirit was probably there long before I came along, and that was its space, not mine. So I figured maybe it wouldn't be that easy to get rid of it. And if you can't beat them, unite with them. That's what I did. So I started making offerings to that presence. In the corridor there was a big cabinet of electrical things, I think, and then on top of it I started to put offerings for that spirit. I would go to the corridor and say, "Hey, spirit of the corridor, hi, it's me, your girl." Who you don't leave alone anymore for some reason. Listen, I'm sorry if I did something that you didn't like, if I am trespassing without being aware of that, or if I'm bothering you somehow. I'm really sorry, but I am going to be living here for a while, so I thought that maybe we could get along or something. That would be nice, don't you think? So here's some bread, some cookies, and some gin. Here you go. I hope you like it. Yeah. And all I ask in exchange is that you let me sleep at night. Please don't come creep me out in the middle of the night because your girl needs to sleep. Is that can we do that? If you're nice, I'm gonna come back and bring you more. How about that? Can we do that? And yeah, from the moment I started putting offerings outside for that entity, I was never bothered again. Just like a charm. Worked like a charm. And I think it is interesting because I never had that kind of problem again. I'm still doing spirit work and everything, but I don't have that problem anymore. And one mistake that I was doing back then that I don't do anymore is not dedicating the candles that I'm going to use. What does that mean? When you get a candle and you are going to light it for spiritual purposes, you gotta say who that candle is for. Me, at least, I always direct my candles to spirits, to specific spirits. And when I'm going to light it, I say, I dedicate this candle to spirit so and so. I place it here in my forehead region and then here around my heart chakra. I say, I dedicate this candle to spirit so and so. This candle is for you and for you only. So that will cut immediately the possibility of other entities reaching out for that candle that you are lighting. And that's something that I didn't do back then. So I think that the fact that the top floor of the building already had that kind of presence lurking around, and I was not dedicating my candles to the specific spirits I was trying to reach out to. It just opened an opportunity for that spirit to come that fiercely after me. I had the impression that this spirit just wanted to suck out energy, if that makes sense, which over time can become very draining and very harmful because I was not able to sleep at night. That is very serious. It can cause real damage in a person's health to not be able to sleep properly. So yeah, remember to always dedicate your candles, because just randomly lighting your candles for spiritual purposes is like picking up the phone and dialing a random number. You don't know who's gonna pick up. I tried many banishings, even from the book, things that Jason suggests in this book. I tried, but it wouldn't really work. So do you have any suggestions? If I really wanted that spirit to be gone forever from that place, what could I have done to make them go away for good? At the end, we came to an understanding, the spirit and I would call it Winifred. I didn't know its name. I still don't. Sometime later, I moved, so we didn't really have a chance of developing much of a relationship. And I'm not sure if I wanted that. I just wanted to sleep. Just wanted to sleep at night. And I remember that I've made a final offering saying that, hey, I am going to move out, so your place here will be undisturbed again. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for cooperating, and I hope that you enjoyed the offerings, but from now on, we are going to go our separate ways. And that's it. The spirit didn't follow me anywhere. It stayed behind, but the experience was really interesting. And now that I have a little bit more experience, it is interesting to look back at it and analyze the things I did, the mistakes I committed, and how I got myself out of the situation. Yeah, sometimes it's not about fighting, it's about uniting and cooperating. For as crazy as it might sound. So in my place, what would you have done? So I have two questions for you. In my place, what would you have done? And do you have any spooky tales of your own? Please send them to my email address. Again, it's going to be here on the screen. I think we can make an amazing series out of this if you share your paranormal experiences with me. Seriously, I can't wait to have some stories coming in so we can... If you liked what you've seen in this video, make sure to take a look at my Patreon page and also the YouTube subscriptions, because on those platforms I share exclusive bonus content for only 1 cup of coffee per month. There are spell tutorials, weekly divinations, life updates, and much, much more. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see your stories coming to my email address very soon. And remember, practice makes perfect. So let's get rich in. Bye bye.